Jai Guruji, Anantam Shukrana Guruji for this beautiful, blissful, divine satsang. Let's begin with the synopsis of last week. Last week we read chapter 7 of KotiRudrasamhita of the volume 3 of the Shivpuran. In this we read how Suta narrated the story of how Lord Shiva came to be known as Nandikesha, and also how Ganga went to Narmada on the 7th day in the month of Vaishakha. Now, there was a chaste Brahmin lady, her name was Rasika, and she became a widow at a very early age. So she decided to devote her life to the worship of Lord Shiva. And Jai Guruji Auntie, if you are taking Agya, please take Agya from that side because it will disturb the reading. Thank you. So she devoted her life to the worship of Lord Shiva, performing severe penance and worshipping an earthen phallic image of Lord Shiva. Now, as she was performing the penance, there came a wicked demon, and his name was Muda. And he was attracted towards this Brahmin lady and offered several temptations in return of sexual favors from her, but she resisted and continued with her worship. She was even threatened by this demon, and in that time she just sought refuge in Lord Shiva and continued with her penance. So Lord Shiva manifested himself there and reduced this demon to ashes. He also was delighted with the worship of this Brahmin lady and asked her to request for a boon. Now, the Brahmin lady first and foremost eulogized Lord Shiva greatly and then asked him to, requested him to give forever devotion towards his feet to her, and also requested him to stay there in that place for the benefit of all the people. Now, Lord Shiva agreed to grant both the boons to her. In the meantime, Brahma, Vishnu and all the other gods came there to see Lord Shiva and also this chaste Brahmin lady, and they eulogized Lord Shiva. Ganga then praised this chaste lady and also took a promise from her that she would be here once in a year on the 7th day in the month of Vaishakha. So the Brahmin lady agreed. After that, Lord Shiva vanished in that earthen phallic image along with that Brahmin lady, and from then on he was known as Nandikesha, and that center became a holy center. Brahma and Vishnu and all the other gods, including Ganga, returned to their abodes, and since then, once in a year, Ganga goes to Narmada on the 7th day in the month of Vaishakha, and it washes off all the sins that she has accumulated through the year. Also, this place became a holy center, so any person who takes bath in this water becomes free from all the sins. Today, we will read chapter 8, which is the greatness of Mahabala, and chapter 9, the attainment of the greatest goal by outcast women. These chapters will be read in English by Vijayata Auntie, and we do not have Hindi reading today. Enjoy the readings. If you're also interested in reading the Shivpuran, you could reach out to me or to Seema Auntie or Rashmi Auntie, and we can fix up a reading for you. Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji.
Jai Guruji Sangatji, Chapter 8, The Greatness of Mahabala. Suta said, O Brahmins, listen with devotion to the phallic form of Shiva that exists in the western quarter on this earth. In the city of Kapila are the two divine phallic images of Shiva named Kala and Rameshwara. By their very sight, they dispel sins. Mahasiddheshwara, on the shore of the Western Ocean, is famous as bestower of virtue, wealth, love, and salvation. Gokarna, the excellent shrine situated on the shore of the Western Ocean, destroys the sin of Brahmin's slaughter and other sins and yields the fruits of all desires. At Gokarna, there are crores and crores of Shiva's phallic image. At each step, there are innumerable holy centers. Of what avail is much talk? everything in Gokarna is Shiva's visible phallic image. All the waters, there are holy Tirathas. Oh dear, the greatness of Shiva's holy images and the Tirathas at Gokarna is explained and described in the Puranas by great sages. In Kreta Yuga, it is white. In the Treta, it is deep red. In the Dwapara, it is yellow, and in the Kali age, it is dark in color. Mahabala, though it has pervaded the regions as far below as the seven nether worlds, will become soft when the terrible age of Kali arrives. Persons committing great sins have attained Shiva's region after worshipping Mahabala, the phallic image of Shiva at Gokarna. O sages who worship the Lord with devotion, after going to Gokarna on the holy day with the sacred constellation, will undoubtedly become Rudras themselves. A devotee worshipping Shiva's image at any time in Gokarna attains a region of Brahma. With a desire for the welfare of Brahma, Vishnu, and other gods, the Lord is always present there in the name of Mahabala. That phallic image, secured by the Rakshasa Ravana as a result of severe penance, was installed by Gananyaka at Gokarna. The following deities resort to its eastern gate out of devotion for it: Vishnu, Brahma, Mahendra, Vishwadevas, Marudganas, Adityas, Vasus, Dasras, the moon with the stars, and the gods with their attendants. They go there in their aerial chariot. Yama, the god of death himself, Chitragupta, the fire god, the Mains, and the Rudras resort to the southern gate. Varuna, the lord of all rivers, along with the rivers Ganga, etc., resort to the western gate and serve Mahabala. Similarly, the wind god, Kubera, Bhadrakalika, the goddess of all gods, and Chandika, and other mothers resort to the northern gate. All the gods, the Gandharvas, the Pitras, Siddhas, Karanas, Vidyadharas, Kimmaparusas, Kinnaras, Guryakas, Khagas, different type of Pisachas, Vetalas, the powerful Daityas, Sesas, and other serpents. The Siddhas and the sages eulogize and bow to Lord Mahabala. They get their cherished desires and sport about happily. Good penance has been performed by many after worshipping the Lord. Great achievements pleasing here and hereafter have been secured by them. O Brahmins, the Mahabala image of Shiva at Gokarna, worshipped and eulogized, is doorway to salvation. The worship of Mahabala on the 14th day in the dark half of the month of Magha yields salvation, particularly even to sinners. On this festive day of Shiva, people of all four castes come here from all countries, desirous of witnessing the great festivals. Women, old men, children, and people of the four stages of life come there, see the Lord of gods, and obtain contentment. This is by the power of Mahabala that a Chandali attained Shivaloka after worshipping that image of Shiva. Chapter 9. The attainment of good goal by the outcast woman. The sages said, O Sutta, O fortunate Sutta, you are blessed, you are the most excellent among the devotees of Shiva. O holy Lord, please narrate the story of the outcast woman you just referred to. Sutta said, O Brahmins, listen with great devotion to that wonderful story illustrative of Shiva's power. It enhances the devotional feeling of the listeners. The outcast woman was a Brahmin girl in her previous birth. She was named Somini. She was endowed with all characteristic signs. Her face was bright like the moon. O Brahmin, that youthful maiden Somini was married to a certain Brahmin boy duly by her father. After getting a husband, O great Brahmin, she, in her fresh blooming youth, indulged in sexual dalliances with him and maintained her auspicious rights. O Brahmin, then her youthful husband, the Brahmin boy, became distressed with the great ailment. Due to the misfortune of Somini, he died. When the husband passed away, the woman was much distressed, dejected, and despondent. For some time, she maintained her pure conduct. She remained in the house, a well-behaved lady. Thereafter, through a window, her heart became defiled by lustful feelings because she was still in her prime of youth. She then transgressed the limits of decency. Coming to know of her misdeeds, defiling the family, her kinsmen gathered together, caught hold of her hair, took her far off, and abandoned her. A leading Sudra saw her roaming about in the forest, took her to his house, and made her his wife. She then became very fond of sexual intercourse, began to take in meat, and indulged in drinking wine. She bore that Sudra a daughter too. Once while the husband was gone somewhere, Somini, the erring woman, drank wine and badly wanted meat. In her cattle shed outside, goats and sheep had been tethered along with cows. It was dusk when nothing could be visible due to darkness. She then took a sword and went out. Inebriated that she was, the foul woman, fond of flesh died, killed a calf, taking it to be a goat without much consideration. After taking it within, she realized it was a calf. The terrified woman blurted out, "Siva, Siva," thanks to some previous merit. She meditated on Siva for a short while, but the desire for meat overwhelmed her. She minced the meat of the calf and ate it up with great relish. O Brahmin, when long time elapsed thus, Somini died and went to Yama's abode. Yama went through her antecedents, and taking into consideration her merits and demerits, he sent her back from hell to be born in an outcast family. Fallen from Yama's city, she was born as congenitally blind girl out of a womb of a Chandala woman. Her complexion was as dark as dying embers. She was born blind. Even during her infancy, her father and mother died. She was not married to anyone. She became infected with leprosy and was utterly defiled. Emaciated and distressed with hunger, blind and moving about with a staff in her hand, she somehow subdued her gastric fires by the leavings of food of the Chandalas nearby. With great difficulty and suffering, she passed a major portion of her life. When old age affected her limbs, she was subjected to unending grief and distress. Once she came to know of travelers going to visit Mahabala and Gokarna on the Siva's festival day. Then, prompted by desire for clothes and meals, she walked slowly to beg of general public. She moved about here and there, begging of the people, imploring them with piteous words and outstretched hands after arriving at that place. In the outstretched hands of the suppliant women, a meritorious traveler hurled a bunch of bilva leaves. When that bunch fell into her hands, she felt it again and again, and realizing it was not edible, she cast it off dejectedly. That bunch of bilva leaves, cast from her hands during the night, fortunately fell on top of Siva's phallic image. Thus on Siva Chaturdasi night, though she begged of travelers again and again, she did not get anything through the intercession of fate. Thus, unwittingly, she observed the rites of Shiva Chaturdasi and kept awake during the night and obtained great bliss. Then, in the next morning, overcome with great grief, the dejected woman returned to her native place, alone slowly. Exhausted by long starvation and faltering and staggering at every step, she somehow covered the long distance but fell down unconscious. Seated in an aerial chariot bought immediately by the Shiva's Ganas, thanks to Shiva's mercy, she went to Shiva's region. O Brahmin, since at the outset the unchaste woman had cried out Shiva's name unwittingly, she acquired great merit, whereby she reached the divine abode of Mahabala. At Gokarna, on Shiva's Tithi, during the night, she had kept awake and observed fast. She had performed the worship of Shiva image by Bilva bunch. That was a fruit of a meritorious action performed unconsciously. She was liberated thanks to the grace of Mahabala. Thus is the great image of Mahabala, destructive of sins and bestower of the highest bliss instantaneously. O Brahmins, thus the greatness of the excellent Shiva image Mahabala has been mentioned to you by me. I shall now mention another wonderful glory of the same. By merely listening to it, the devotion for Shiva is generated. That concludes the Shivpuran reading for today. Jai Guruji.